How wondrous is this blue world, so captivating to the eye and enchanting to the heart. The seas, those kingdoms seemingly tranquil on the surface, yet ablaze with life within, are like a poem written in water that never runs dry. Thousands of creatures dance in their embrace, like stars illuminating the night of the depths, whispering that beauty is not always found on the surface, but also in the depths. There, beneath the waves, in silent cities untouched by human clamor, fish glide in a procession of colors and movements, like the Creator's melodies embodied in translucent bodies of light and water. Each fish has its own dance, and each movement its own meaning. Some gleam like gold in the sun's rays, while others hide in the shadows like a secret of existence. The sea is not merely water, but a vast spirit inhabited by thousands of souls. In every wave lies a tale of rebirth, and in every swathe of its blueness, a promise of eternity. It is the stage upon which God's power manifests itself in its most sublime form. Where beauty is not contrived, and life sings its eternal anthem in awe-inspiring silence. So, you who believe beauty is confined to the land, draw nearer to the shore. And listen to the sea as it speaks with the voice of its waves. You will realize that the fish there are not merely creatures, but blue poetry inscribed by God in the book of the universe, verse by verse, from the beginning of creation until this day. The cradle of magic and the song of the depths. The sea. Oh, what a wondrous creature the sea is, draped in the cloak of infinity, concealing beneath its azure depths the secrets of creation. If you stand upon its shore, you feel as though you are before a mirror created to reflect the image of the soul, and that the waves breaking upon the sand are but the very pulse of the universe, whispering in the ear of existence that life is nothing but an oscillation between ebb and flow, between coming and going. It is said that the sea teaches silence, for he who listens to its roar hears a conversation unspoken, but felt in the depths of the heart. How often have we sat by it, mistaking it for water, only to find it a profound thought, filled with reflections and memories, and boundless sorrows. In it lies the serenity of the sky, the majesty of the night's mystery, and the breath of the Creator's grace, a touch of beauty that breathes life into the inanimate. Dreams of the depths. In the embrace of the sea, where the sun disappears from sight and darkness begins to weave its blue cloak, lies another world, unseen by the eye except through imagination. There, creatures are born in an eternal dance around the single point of light, like spirits praising in the sanctuary of eternity. The fish there are not bodies that move, but chromatic melodies that sing their silent poems. Some resemble poetry as it shifts from verse to verse, and some resemble dawn as it slips from darkness into light. Life flows among them like a breeze through the wheat stalks of a field, with a delicacy and harmony beyond description. These are creatures created to remind humankind that beauty is not merely surface adornment, but dwells in the depths. You see them undulating in perfect tranquility, as if they understand that haste is a characteristic of land, while the sea knows no hurried journey, content with simply existing in beauty. The language of colors in the kingdom of blue. How wondrous is the dialogue that unfolds between colors in the kingdom of the sea. There, deep blue whispers to pure green, and silver dances with gold in paintings that only the Creator could create. Every fish is a color of nature's thought, a movement of the music of existence. If you were to see them as they dance around a ray of light filtering down from above, you would witness the world being recreated in every moment. It is as if the sea never tires of creation, draping its creatures in a tapestry of aquatic beauty, so that they remain ever new to the beholder, wondrous to the contemplator. How wondrous! It is as if every color there carries a meaning of the soul. In some, red is the fury of life, blue its tranquility, gold its radiant dawn, and gray its hidden sorrow. These colors speak without a sound, and reveal themselves without a tongue. Whoever understands their language grasps the secret of unspoken beauty. fish. Souls in water. How much unfathomable gentleness resides in these creatures. They glide through the water like a dream flowing through the night of the soul, making no noise, causing no disturbance. They are creatures who believe that tranquility is the most eloquent form of life, and that true survival lies not in strength, but in harmony with the universe. Some shine like lamps in the darkness of the depths, as if God had placed them as candles in the temple of the sea. Others hide among the rocks, like shy thoughts afraid of the light of awareness. And some swim in groups like rows of worshippers in a blue sanctuary, from whom only the silent praise of God is heard. How beautiful they are as they move with the waves, like letters in a poem written by the water itself. They are beings who haven't learned to speak from us, yet they instinctively speak what we can no longer articulate: love, harmony, and peace. Humanity and the sea. Since ancient times, humankind has stood on the shores of the sea, captivated by its magic. How many poets have wept by the waves, and how many philosophers have found in them a mirror of their own existence. The sea is a school of thought and contemplation, teaching us that silence is not the absence of speech, but rather a fullness of meaning, and that depth is not measured by distance, but by the secrets and beauty it holds. When the sea becomes a mirror of the soul. Speaking of this, when nature speaks the language of water. In the presence of fish. Oh, the sea, how many souls it conceals beneath its luminous surface. And though the waves are the hallmark of its outward movement, the fish are its inner pulse, through them it lives, and in their diversity its eternal beauty blossoms. As if they were the words the sea speaks each day, taking shape and colors, forms, and melodies, translating the Creator's will in its most subtle manifestations. The dance of life in the depths. In depths untouched by daylight, a wondrous dance of life unfolds. There, fish are born in complete silence, without cries or haste, as if they understand that birth in the sea is not an exit into the world, but an entry into an unending eternity. Each fish holds a story, and every movement a chapter from the book of creation. You see the young following the old in a precise system that dazzles the mind, no leader, no orders, but an innate harmony among creatures, reminding humankind that true order is not imposed, but rather springs from nature. It is the dance of survival that God began from eternity, where there is no place for weakness, no excuse for stagnation. Yet it is a noble dance, in which the strong do not kill the weak out of lust, but out of necessity, as if the sea established the scales of justice in its kingdom without judges or laws. When one looks at the sea, one should see it as a magnificent living being, not as a resource to be exploited. Every fish caught without mercy disrupts a delicate divine symphony. Every pollutant thrown into its waters is like a stab in the heart of nature, which has nurtured it for millennia. What ingratitude to pollute the hand that fed us! Or to break the waves that carried our ships, and rob the fish of their right to safety. The sea does not belong to anyone, it is a trust of creation, and whoever corrupts it has betrayed the covenant between humankind and the heavens. Conclusion of Part 2, The Sea. Temple of Eternal Beauty. O sea, you whose blue never sleeps, and home to the fish that swim in silence. You have taught us that life is not measured by its length, but by its depth, not by the clamor of its movements, but by the tranquility of its meaning. You have taught us that harmony among creatures is greater than competition between them, and that beauty, if separated from wisdom, becomes an empty ornament. O Sea of God, mirror of heaven upon earth. In you we see history, nature, and inspiration in a single image. And in you we realize that the magnificent creation is not a coincidence, but a conscious will that creates without limits. Peace be upon you, O sea, as long as fish dance in your depths. And as long as humankind finds in your roar a melody that reminds them of their eternal origin. Peace be upon you as long as nature writes its immortal poems upon your waves. For you are the open book in which the universe reads the secrets of beauty and life. We must acknowledge that the sea is not merely a blue expanse stretching before our eyes, but a complete world pulsating with life, concealing endless secrets in its depths. The first thing that comes to mind when approaching the sea is the creatures that silently stir the water around them, the fish, whose voices we cannot hear, yet whose language we understand through their movement, their beauty, and their diversity. It is the language of water, mastered only by those who contemplate it with sincerity. Fish are not simply creatures swimming in the blue void, they are the cells of this great ocean, its flowing spirit that sustains its balance and protects it from collapse. When light descends to the depths, everything changes. The stillness transforms into a cool breeze that touches the skin without actually touching it. The depths possess a unique sensibility unlike anything on land. In this darkness, where the eye cannot find its way, the fish find their way as if reading an invisible map laid out by nature thousands of years ago. Each fish moves with unwavering confidence, as if it knows that the sea was created for it and that it was created for the sea. There, in the depths, a new world begins, entirely different from the world on the surface. The fish swim gracefully and perform dances that defy description. Humanity cannot see it in its entirety because the speed of nature surpasses the speed of sight. In such a world, only those who know their role can survive. The sea does not give opportunities to the weak, but it does not act cruelly without reason. It is a just system, even if it sometimes seems harsh. Large fish feed on small ones, not out of malice, but because nature has regulated the food chain to ensure the continuation of life. If a single link were removed, the entire system would unravel, and the balance that makes the seas a source of beauty, wonder, and bounty would be lost. Fish do not live alone. They form enormous groups known in science as schools. These schools move in almost musical harmony. Thousands of creatures move in one direction, as if there were an incomprehensible mental connection between them. There is no leader, no written rules, but everyone knows their role and moves without colliding with others. This amazing harmony is a lesson that nature teaches humanity. True organization does not require heavy commands, shouting, or force. It comes from instinct and an implicit agreement on the common good. If we consider the impact of fish on the environment, we find that they are not merely beautiful creatures, but a fundamental element in maintaining the health of the seas. Without fish, everything would be disrupted. Some fish feed on harmful algae that if left unchecked, they would grow to an enormous size, suffocating coral reefs and polluting the water. Other fish transport nutrients between the depths and the surface, and without them, the sea would become divided into separate, unrenewable, and lifeless layers, like dead water. Some fish act as marine physicians, cleaning the bodies of other organisms of parasites and maintaining the delicate balance of the water's ecosystems. Thus continues the relationship between humankind and the sea, an eternal bond filled with wonder, awe, beauty, and wisdom, a relationship that time cannot erase. For the sea is the planet's first memory, and fish are the letters with which nature wrote the first chapters of life. When we care for the sea, we care for beauty itself. When we protect fish, we protect the future, and when we understand the wisdom of water, we understand ourselves better and draw closer to the true meaning of life on this beautiful planet, which deserves to be preserved with all our might. Life through the eyes of fish and the embrace of the sea. From the moment sunlight touches the first ray of water, another world begins to unfold, a world unlike land, governed by no laws, and without a rhythm. Life beneath the sea's surface begins with colors invisible to the eye above land, moving in a symphony-like rhythm. Every wave that breaks on the shore carries with it the secrets of thousands of creatures, masters of camouflage, skilled in survival, living stories we have only heard a few times. When we speak of the world of fish, we are not speaking of a collection of creatures we see in aquariums or on our tables, but of a whole history of evolution, grandeur, and intelligence that inhabits the depths of seas, oceans, and rivers. The story of fish begins more than 500 million years ago, when the Earth was entirely different and almost all life was confined to the water. Land was nothing but a barren desert, while the seas teemed with species that no longer exist. Fish evolved remarkably to become the first creatures with a backbone, making them the foundation upon which all subsequent vertebrates developed, from birds to reptiles to mammals to humans themselves. Everything we know about our bodies has its roots in those first creatures that swam in the primordial waters. Since then, fish have undergone a long journey of adaptation, spreading to every aquatic environment on Earth, from the sunless depths of the oceans to freshwater rivers flowing between mountains. But the wonder of the fish world lies not only in its antiquity but also in its immense diversity. There are more than 30,000 known species of fish, while scientists continue to discover hundreds of new species every year, especially in the deep, inaccessible waters. Some are so small they can live inside a shell, while others are enormous, exceeding 10 meters in length, like the sunfish, which resembles a wingless airplane. Some species are transparent, allowing you to see their bones through their skin, while others glow in the darkness of the depths like stars. Some fish can change color and skin tone in moments, while others generate electricity, fly above the water's surface, walk on rocks, and survive in extreme temperatures that are almost boiling or almost freezing. And when we dive a little deeper, we find that the sea itself is not just a body of water, but a multi-layered world, each layer containing a different life. At the surface live light-dependent fish like sardines and mackerel, which are a primary food source for whales and predatory fish. In the middle zone, where light diminishes, fish with large eyes or flexible bodies begin to emerge. In the deepest parts of the ocean, where there is no light at all, life takes on a supernatural dimension. There, organisms glow with bioluminescence, using light to attract prey or escape predators. Many deep-sea dwellers possess enormous teeth and wide mouths to devour anything that comes their way, as food is extremely scarce in that region. To truly understand fish, we must understand how they perceive the world around them. Unlike humans, who rely on sight, fish depend on specialized senses adapted to their environments. There's the lateral line, an incredibly sensitive organ that detects vibrations in the water and alerts the fish to any nearby movement, even if it's invisible. Then there's their sense of smell, far superior to that of humans. Fish like salmon can smell the river where they were born, even years later, and return to it with astonishing accuracy. Some fish even use electricity to communicate, find food, and locate objects around them, even in murky water. Fish life is affected by temperature, salinity changes, and plastic pollution, which has become a serious global problem. Many small fish ingest pieces of plastic, mistaking them for food, leading to their death or the transfer of toxic substances throughout the food chain. Furthermore, rising ocean temperatures are causing coral bleaching and the death of many species that depend on it. All of this makes preserving the sea a great responsibility because everything that happens in the sea ultimately comes back to us, whether in terms of food, air, or climate. As for behavior, every fish has its own story, and each species has a unique way of coping with life. Take, for example, the clownfish, which lives inside poisonous sea anemones without being harmed because its skin is covered with a protective layer. It enters into a symbiotic relationship with the anemones, which provides it with protection from other fish, while the anemones offer it shelter and food. And then there's the dragonfish, which camouflages itself to blend into its surroundings, becoming almost invisible. There are fish that form massive schools, moving with astonishing harmony, like sardines, where hundreds of thousands of fish spin with incredible speed, creating shimmering metallic swirls that confuse predators. And speaking of predatory fish, the sea teems with them, each species possessing its own unique style. The great white shark is an example of strength and precision. It can oim it for millions around the world. However, the greatest challenge of our time is protecting this world from pollution, overfishing, and climate change, which threatens many species with extinction. But beauty is not limited to pretty coral readers. There are the fish, resembling moving works of art. In the coral reefs, thousands of species of small fish dance in harmony with the colorful coral, creating an environment rich in every imaginable form of life. The fish there display colors like a rainbow, from light blue to golden yellow to one of the most fascinating aspects of fish is their remarkable ability to adapt and innovate. Some fish can survive short periods without water by venturing onto land, like the mudfish, which uses its fins to walk. Others live in complete darkness without eyes, relying solely on touch and smell. Some swim in perfectly coordinated schools, seemingly as a single entity, while others move very little, like the seahorse, which clings to plants and remains motionless for hours. Each type of fish represents a unique perspective on life, making its study an endless journey. As we approach the end of this amazing world, we realize that the sea is not merely a natural environment, but an open book filled with stories waiting to be told. Every fish, every wave, and every coral reef holds a secret of the universe. Perhaps the most important lesson we can learn from fish is that they live in perfect harmony with their environment. They possess only what they need and do not harm their surroundings, rather, they contribute to maintaining balance. If humanity wishes to protect this world, it must learn from the sea how to be a part of nature, not its enemy. The world of fish is not merely a science, a hobby, or a spectacle for contemplation, it is a gateway to understanding life itself from a different perspective. When you look at the sea, you realize that what we see on the surface is nothing compared to what happens in the depths. This truth applies to everything in life. Humans think they know, but in reality, they only see the surface. The true depth of things is only seen by those who dive deep. The world of fish extends far beyond what humans imagine. Existence beneath the water's surface is not merely silent movement or simple life, it is an atlas of environmental meanings, evolutionary secrets, and complex relationships that complete the tapestry of life on Earth. As we delve deeper into this world, we realize that every fish, no matter how small, plays a specific role in the cycle of water, light, and food. Every twitch of its fins restores balance to a part of nature, whether humans are aware of it or not. The relationship between water and fish is not simply that of a creature to its habitat, but a relationship of identity to existence. Water is memory, and fish are the spirit that moves within it. When we contemplate this magnificent harmony, we discover that fish are not merely creatures swimming in search of food, but the underwater brain of nature. Some cleanse the reefs of algae, some maintain the balance of predators in the depths, and some contribute to shaping the sand itself through the sediment they leave behind after feeding on coral. Even those giant species, like whales or enormous fish that inspire awe in humans, remain part of this delicate symphony. If a single note were to be disrupted, the entire marine life would be thrown into disarray. And in this fusion of power, the interplay between the dark colors of the deep sea and the dancing light on the surface creates an astonishing food chain, governed not by chaos but by precise laws that reveal the genius of creation. Herbivorous fish feed on algae to clean the reefs and allow coral to grow, while predatory fish control the herbivorous population to prevent it from overpopulating and suffocating the reefs. At the same time, algae produce oxygen and recycle carbon dioxide, allowing breathing on Earth to continue. Yet, humans often think the sea is distant, while half the oxygen that enters their lungs every moment comes from the movements of microscopic life in the deep. Understanding the world of fish is incomplete without delving into the journey of adaptation they have undergone for millions of years. Some fish live in extreme sub-zero temperatures, yet their blood does not freeze because they possess proteins that prevent ice crystal formation. Others survive in near boiling temperatures, yet they do not die because they are equipped with flexible cell membranes. Some live under immense pressure at depths exceeding thousands of meters. Were they to ascend to the surface, their bodies would explode due to the extreme pressure difference. Some see in complete darkness using light produced by cells within their bodies, and some communicate through electrical signals or pulses inaudible to humans. It is the Creator's ingenuity evident in every cell of their bodies, For each of these adaptations is not a coincidence but a wise response to their environment, enabling them to continue playing their role in the grand cycle of life. As we approach the shores, we find that the fish living in shallow waters are entirely different from those living in the depths. Shallow water fish need vibrant colors to mimic the changing light from the sun, while deep-sea fish have dark bodies that absorb light and conceal their presence from predators. Fish living in estuaries possess the ability to adapt to the daily fluctuations in salinity between fresh and salt water. This challenge alone requires amazing internal systems to regulate the salt and water balance within their bodies. The closer we get to coral reef areas, the more we see a vibrant tapestry of colors. Life flourishes in these environments due to the abundance of food and the numerous burrows and crevices that allow each species to find its habitat. Here, fish swim near the bottom, others move near the surface, some make the coral a temporary home, and others hide among the rocks, emerging with lightning speed when needed. Here, the magnificence of biodiversity is revealed, a diversity that is considered the greatest treasure in the seas. Despite this magnificent beauty, the growing impact of humanity on these worlds cannot be ignored. Overfishing has led to the collapse of countless species, and plastic waste causes the death of hundreds of millions of fish annually, as they ingest these pieces, mistaking them for food. When toxins accumulate in the fish's bodies, they are transferred to humans through the food chain, causing countless diseases. Perhaps the most serious threat to the seas is thermal pollution from factories and power plants, which alters water temperature, disrupts the reproductive cycle, and distorts ocean currents. Nevertheless, hope remains. Many countries have begun establishing marine nature reserves, prohibiting fishing for years to allow fish populations to recover. Scientists are developing methods to revitalize damaged coral reefs, and major organizations are cleaning the oceans of plastic and recycling waste. However, the road ahead is still long, and the sea requires even greater effort from humanity, for when nature is wounded, it does not heal easily. Despite all this, the sea remains the greatest teacher, the mirror in which humanity sees itself when it seeks to contemplate the meaning of life. The sea teaches humanity patience, like the ebb and flow of the tides, and humility before the power of nature. He teaches him that life is not about appearances but about depth, that beauty is not merely color but a message and meaning, and that silence is not emptiness but a language understood by those who listen. Perhaps the relationship between humans and fish is one of the oldest relationships known to humankind. For thousands of years, humans lived by fishing before the discovery of agriculture, and fish were a source of food and survival. As civilizations developed, fish became part of cooking, culture, art, and even mythology. In Sumerian mythology, they are a symbol of life. In ancient Egyptian civilization, they are depicted on temple walls. In Chinese civilization, they symbolize luck and abundance, and in Greek civilization, they represent wisdom and silence. Today, fish have become a fundamental element of the global economy. Millions of people depend on fishing as their primary occupation, and hundreds of countries rely on the sea's resources for their trade, tourism, and fisheries. Yet, most people remain unaware of what happens beneath the surface. They believe the sea is unaffected, fish are unfeeling, and nature can endure anything. This ignorance will cost everyone dearly later. One of the most important secrets of fish is that they teach humanity a crucial lesson about sustainability. Each species lives within its own boundaries, eating only what it needs, reproducing only as the environment allows, not wasting water or damaging its habitat. Humans, on the other hand, consume more than they need, fish more than they should, and deplete more than nature provides. Perhaps humanity should learn more from fish than it teaches them. Looking to the future of the seas, we see that fish may hold the key to solving many of humanity's problems. Studying their behavior could help develop intelligent robots that move smoothly in the water.
fishy sleep in there. So they're sleeping inside there, and there's some food. But come in here, all the way in the back. There's lots in here.
If we approach the relationship between them from a philosophical perspective, we see that the sea resembles the human soul, and the fish resemble the thoughts and feelings that stir within it. The sea is deep and vast, not easily revealing its secrets, and full of mystery, silence, and shadows. Similarly, the human soul and the fish move freely within it, like the thoughts that flow within the mind, each going in a different direction, each carrying a color, meaning, and secret. Some surface, while others remain in the depths, revealed only to those who bravely dive into them. Therefore, the relationship between the sea and the fish is like the relationship between the mind and its thoughts, between the soul and its expressions, between the heart and its pulse. Whoever looks at the sea thinks they are seeing only water, but in reality, they are seeing themselves without realizing it. If we want to express the relationship between them from a poetic standpoint, we find that the sea resembles a grand poem whose meter is incomplete without the presence of its fish. The fish resemble the words that constitute the sea's meaning, melody, form, and image. Words alone are not enough to create a poem, but they give the poem its soul. Likewise, the fish give the sea its soul, value, and meaning. Each fish resembles a word in the poem of marine existence. There are long words like a tuna, short words like a sardine, and transparent words like a moonfish. And words as frightening as a shark, and every word has its role in shaping the great text they call the sea. Imagine for a moment that the sea lost its fish. What would it look like? It would appear dark and devoid of meaning, as if someone had turned off the lights in a magnificent museum where paintings shimmer and colors ripple. For fish are not merely creatures, they are the light moving within the depths, the music unheard by humans yet resonating in every drop of water, the poem nature writes in a language understood only by those who dive with their hearts before their bodies. Therefore, the disappearance of fish would not simply mean the disappearance of color or form, but the disappearance of an entire history, a complete ecosystem, the very soul of the sea. If we imagine fish without the sea, they would be like birds stripped of their sky, or like taking a rose and planting it in a rock, or removing a heart and placing it outside their body. They cannot live because water is not just a place, it is identity and being. It is the mother that embraces them, the language they understand from birth, the time that measures their age, and the history they inherit from generation to generation. Therefore, life for fish outside the sea is not life at all, but a severance from their origin, a distortion of their nature, and a loss of their reason for existence. If we examine this relationship from a scientific perspective, we find that it is a relationship based on precision and harmony. The movement of ocean currents transports fish eggs from place to place, aiding in the spread and balance of species. Salinity shapes their chemical identity, temperature determines their speed of movement and reproduction, light determines the depth of their migration, and pressure determines their body shape and swimming style. Even the color of the sea itself influences the color of fish and their methods of camouflage or predation, as if the sea designs its own creations, coloring them as it pleases, bestowing upon them its characteristics, and shaping them with its secrets. There.